Good morning and welcome to Better Thyself segment of Dr. Lamba's Awakening Call. People often ask me, how is it that I can survive despite my illness, chronic pains? People ask me when they see me assert myself when face to face with overwhelming majority and still I'm able to have my own way. They ask me, which method do I adopt to increase my willpower? And my response always is, there is no such medicine in the universe which can permanently jack up your willpower. However, there are 5 transformational practices that make my willpower damage proof. And then after it becomes damage proof, it becomes a habit. So what are these practices? People, when they read my idea of the day, ask me that my words of motivation are good for those who have an inherent will to achieve more. But ordinary people don't have that willpower. They are succumbing to the pressure of the group in which they are, their job constraints, their family constraints, their social constraints. Well, willpower does not mean being always rebel. Of course, it essentially has a rebellious overtones, but you don't have to be rebel all the time. So what are those practices which I had adopted, which enhanced my willpower? First is practice self-belief. Willpower becomes a casualty only for those who lack self-belief. If you have got faith in yourself, you'll have willpower because you have confidence that what you're going to do is right. Ethics, principles, they are most important. So practice a high level of self-belief. Believe in yourself. This does not definitely mean not being mindfulness of your weaknesses. This does not mean that you should become oblivious to the thoughts of others, that you should not remain kind and compassionate. But it's an ability to be firm on your dreams, your thoughts, your aspirations. And self-belief usually generates 2 elements. First is knowledge. You would always know that a person who has knowledge would have more self-belief. And second is self-esteem. You respect yourself. Whatever your goals be, you must have a depth of wisdom in the domain. You cannot just skim the surface. You've got to go deeper. So acquire knowledge and then build self-esteem because nobody can compete with you as far as your knowledge is concerned. You may not be an encyclopedia, but whatever knowledge you have, you should be master of that. Jane Austen, the famous novelist of English literature, used to say, I am a 2-inch ivory artist. Well, I'm not a 2-inch ivory artist. I believe in being encyclopedic. But if you are a 2-inch ivory artist, there's nothing wrong with that. So in that confine, you can build your self-esteem. Your understanding of the knowledge ecosystem will keep you charged all the way. Likewise, if you practice self-esteem, respect yourself, then the bottlenecks and the failures will not be able to shake your willpower. That will be iron pillar, supporting you, making you authentic, making you bitter. So that's our first thing. Acquire knowledge and develop self-esteem. And talk about it. People always say, well, this looks bad that I talk about. Why not? If you don't blow your own trumpet, who else will blow it? And why should anybody else blow it? So this is the first thing. Second, debate with yourself. I developed this very fruitful habit early back in my childhood days. Debated with myself. And the more critically you argue with yourself about your decisions, more indefatigable, untiring you become in the process. So if you can defeat yourself in the debate, you're Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. So good cop, bad cop, whatever. Debate yourself, whatever action you take, plus, minus, this, that. And then you will come is that in this process, you'll become acquainted with those depths of positive aspects and negative aspects of your decision. And that will strengthen your willpower. Secondly, this habit of debating prepares you to take very quick decisions and also take swift turns, many times absolutely right about turn, especially when encountering roadblocks. Because after debating, you have already identified those sectors which can be a roadblock. You know it. And since you know it, you always have a plan B, plan C in your subconscious. And at the crucial time, that subconscious comes active and pushes the plan B, C, D, whatever it may be. So, self-esteem, self-belief, knowledge, and then debating with yourself. And the third, very important, is keep the end in mind always. What's the goal? What do you want to achieve? Now, if you want to conquer Mount Everest and you start walking up the sand dunes in a desert, you cannot conquer Mount Everest. You should attune yourself, acclimatize yourself to the biting cold. So you must develop this habit that what is the end, was the ultimate destiny. And that will enable you to focus. Keep your focus laser sharp on the end. It's not how you start, but how you end your journey that defines you. And everybody starts the same way, goes to school, the college, university. And some go to the top and others don't. So you have got to decide what you want to do. I remember 1977, Morarji Desai had won, and before the election, I received a message that I should contest the election, which I refused. Then after that, they again sent me a message that I should come and join the cabinet. I said, no, I'm not a politician. Because in India, and everywhere, politicians need to be dirty. I can't be. I knew my end. I can be kingmaker, I cannot be king. So I knew what is in my mind. I knew what my focus is. So until and unless you can keep your focus in mind, you cannot sustain willpower. Recently I met another old person, younger than me, of high repute. And he said, all my life I did social service, but now I'm making big money. Most of my friends have bought high value cars, travel worldwide. I think it's now my turn to do it. And I said, well, for 60 years you didn't think of that, why are you thinking now? That means this was not your end. Your end has been shifting. Don't forget that if you want to have willpower, you need an untiring vision, unflinching focus on the end result. And that will enable you to be determined. That will enable you to be optimistic. That will enable you to be a better human being. And the next thing, honor your promises. Whatever you say should be cast in stone, inviolable. Your statements, your promises, your commitments should have value. People should know it, that you have said so, you are going to do it. When you respect your word, when you abide by it, it reinforces commitment. And commitment is an important pillar of sustained, strengthened, enhanced willpower. Usually people just say, yes, I'll do it. They don't care for what they have said. And the result is they cannot be dependent. They are broken reeds. But when the person comes to you and says something, either you say, I can't do it. But if you promise something, do it. Whatever the cost may be. Whatever the result may be. And if you can't do it, heavens don't fall. Say it's beyond you. So that will build up your reputation and build up your pride, self-esteem. And that will build up your willpower. People who cannot respect their own words, why should other people respect them? And if they don't respect themselves and others don't respect them, how can you have willpower at all? What is to have strong willpower? Their willpower is malleable. It's like water. Assume the shape of whichever utensil you put in. And then they procrastinate, they delay, they avoid. That's a habit. And that's a sure recipe for failure, disappointment, and you become a rolling stone. I strongly suggest everyone that practicing one's commitment, irrespective of the circumstances, will enhance your moral fiber. And once your moral is strong, once you stand out as a specimen of humanity, that Shakespeare might have said, the elements are mixed in him, that nature might stand up and say, he is a man. And the more you practice such behavior, the more powerful you make the muscle of your willpower. After all, what is willpower? Willpower is an invisible muscle in your mind and brain. It's a part of your DNA. But this DNA depends on you. And lastly, set challenging goals. Don't be mediocre. Don't be a part of the rat race. Be a leader. Now, by leader, I don't mean to say that you go and fight the election. No. A leader can be a person who who is living example and never short sell your abilities. Anybody can achieve it when the goal is short. And substandard achievements create more harm than good. And people fail to understand that. They go by the short cuts. This is achieved, fine, let's do it. No. Substandard achievements are inimical to strong willpower. Do not strive for the easy set challenging goals. Set as tough a goal as possible and stand committed to it. Suppose a student studying in 12th standard is asked to appear at an examination conducted for the students of the class 4th. Definitely, these students in the 12th will show outstanding performance should. However, they would not. You can try it. Because their achievement has never reflected their real potential. Nor would that process of a 12th class student appearing for a 4th grade motivate the student to achieve more. You say, well, it's a common thing. So the golden rule to be followed. Your aspirations must always be much bigger than your resources. If I hate these proverbs. Cut your coat according to the cloth. Get a new cloth. But don't cut your coat short. Now, if you attempt these 5 exercises for 21 days, just 3 weeks, try it, and you would find yourself a new being, a being who has iron willpower, whose word is taken. Of course, if you have lost your reputation, it's going to take not 21 days, but maybe 210 days. Because first you have got to remove the old mindsets of the people that this man is undependable. But once you do it, then it's an easy way out. These 5 practices enabled me to develop a willpower, and that makes me what I am. I have no regrets and I have no complaints. Why should I have? But I have definitely an attitude that what I think, what I do is right. Resilience is in my thoughts, not in my actions. And that's a sign of willpower. So practice what I have told you and see the results. You'll be a better person. Thank you.